Welcome back to another episode of Ready for Retirement. I'm your host, James Knoll, and today we're going to continue our Countdown to Retirement series. If you recall from last time, we talked about the fact that your ability to retire, not just retire, but really have an enjoyable retirement, a successful retirement, is going to come down to your ability to answer yes to 4 distinct questions about your own unique retirement. Last time, we addressed question number 1, which is the most obvious question. It's the answer, or it's the question of, do you have enough money? If you can't answer yes to that question, you probably shouldn't be retiring. There's some things that you need to do before you ultimately go ahead and make that decision to retire. Now, just because you've answered yes to that question, it may seem like, James, that's obvious. If I can answer yes, why would I not retire? That's not necessarily the case. If that was the case, Warren Buffett wouldn't continue working well past his 89th birthday, worth almost $90 billion. There's something more to work than just the financial aspect of it. So today's question, what we're going to talk about today, the second question that you should ask yourself as you approach retirement is, do you or have you had enough work? Not do you have enough money, but have you had enough of the work or the job or the career that you're in? Because again, as we talk about this, retirement shouldn't just be seen as a financial decision. Of course, that's important. You need to make sure that you have enough money and enough resources to be able to successfully retire. There's a component that you're giving up. When you decide to retire, there's something else that you're giving up, and it's not just a paycheck. And I've seen this so many times. I work with a number of clients over the course of my career where we were very deliberate about their social security strategy, their investment strategy, their tax planning strategy, making sure they really had a great plan going into retirement that said you can retire and you do not need to worry about outliving your money. And they did that. They retired, but something was missing. And what so many of these people found is that when they retired, they gave up this sense of purpose, or they gave up this sense of community or belonging, or this other non-financial aspect that their job held for them. And so today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about how do you know if you are ready to retire, not just because of the financial side of things, but also because of understanding, have you or haven't you had enough of work in whatever work offers other than just financial compensation. We don't want to fall into the trap of preparing so much for the financial side that we forget to think about the other aspect of it too, which is what you're ultimately giving up. Because really, when you come to think about it, when you think about retirement, you really shouldn't think about it just as retiring. Because a lot of people, their goal isn't just to retire and sit on the couch all day watching television. That's not what people want to retire into. Think of retirement more as financial freedom. Financial freedom being, do you have enough resources, income, assets, investments to fully provide for your income needs, to support your lifestyle without having to work? And if that's the case, oftentimes people will continue working even after that point, because financial freedom is, yes, they've accomplished it, but work still provides a benefit. And so that benefit isn't something that we want to take lightly. So as you think about this, how do you know if you've had enough at work? How do you know if you are in a position where you say, yeah, I think I can go ahead and retire, and I think I have had enough work? Well, here's a few signs that you may have had enough work. Reason number 1, you're consistently bringing negative energy home from work. Now, if you're going to work and you dislike the people that you work with, or if you're unmotivated by the projects that you're working on, or if you're just uninspired by what you're doing and it's draining on you, and mentally you're feeling exhausted by the end of the day, and that's exhaustive energy, or that's just negative energy that you're bringing home, you maybe have had enough work. If financially, if you answered yes to that first question, the first part of this Countdown to Retirement series, that you're financially prepared to do so, to be able to retire, well, if you're negatively bringing home energy, or you're bringing home negative energy, that's a good sign that you've had enough work. Number 2, you're too comfortable. You're not challenged. If you're in a job that you've been in for a very long time, and it's a job that used to challenge you, and it's a job that used to stretch you and push you, and you would grow from that, well, if that's no longer happening, maybe it's time to retire. And again, retirement doesn't mean that you're not doing anything. It just means you have the financial freedom to pursue whatever you'd like to do. So that financial freedom could be a new challenge, a new opportunity of starting your own business, of maybe going and working in a different capacity where you are challenged and where you aren't feeling comfortable. So if that's a sense where you feel too comfortable, or you're not feeling challenged at work, that might be a sign that it's time that it might be a sign that you've had enough work. Number 3, you don't ever want to go to work. This is maybe the most obvious one. If you wake up Monday mornings and you're just counting down the days until you can turn in your resignation letter, that's a good sign that you've had enough work. Again, you need to make sure that step number 1 is complete of, do you have enough financial resources to be able to retire? But if so, and if you dread going to work every day, and when you come home from work, you dread going back the next day, it's probably a good sign that you've had enough work. Number 4, the environment is toxic. And this kind of ties into a lot of them, but so often I see people who are preparing for retirement, they're ready for retirement, and they cannot wait to get there. because the environment that they work in is toxic. Either a manager that they have, or just leadership, or just any aspect of the company. If it's a toxic environment, there's no reason to stay there if you don't have to do so for any financial reasons. So that, again, is a good reason to prove that maybe you've had enough work. And then finally, number 5, you're feeling physically or mentally unhealthy. Your health is extremely important, especially as you're going into retirement. It's supposed to be a new season where you can travel and spend time with friends and family and be outside or do whatever it is that you want to do. And if work is taking a toll on you physically and mentally, that toll is going to last into retirement. So that's an unhealthy scenario that you don't want to be in for any longer than you necessarily have to. So if you feel like you have enough to be able to retire, take that next step, or pursue something different, and you're feeling physically and mentally unhealthy in your current position, that's a sign that you've had enough work. So whether it's any of these 5, again, you're consistently bringing negative energy into your home, number 1. Number 2, you're too comfortable or you're not challenged. Number 3, you don't ever want to go to work. Number 4, the environment is toxic. Number 5, you're feeling physically or mentally unhealthy. If you answered yes, so that you resonate or identify with any of those feelings, that could be a sign that you've had enough work. And especially, again, if you've already answered yes to that first question of do you have enough money to do so, if that answer is yes, and you've said yes, I've had enough work based on any of these 5 criteria that we outlined, you're 2 out of the 4 steps of the way ready to answer the question that yes, I am ready for retirement based upon the 4 different criteria that we're going to be walking through over the course of these 4 episodes. Now, on top of that, here are some reasons to stay at work. Maybe you say, James, I'm not sure. I kind of enjoy work. I think I enjoy it. I know that I have more than enough money to not need work. What are some reasons that maybe I should stay? Well, here's a few of them. Number 1, many times work provides that sense of purpose. Do you enjoy what you're doing? Do you love the final outcome, the people you're able to serve, the people you're able to help, the businesses you're able to help? If you feel a sense of purpose there, then great. I believe that we're created for work. Work is a healthy avenue. It's a healthy expression of who we are at our core. So if you feel a purpose there, then wonderful. That's a great reason to stay, even if financially you don't necessarily need to. Number 2, are there mentorship opportunities? Chances are good when you got into your career, there were plenty of people you learned from, people that maybe mentored you directly or indirectly. Maybe you have those opportunities now. Maybe as you're approaching retirement and at an age where you said, yeah, I could retire, well, there may be those mentorship opportunities. And if that's the case, that could be another compelling reason to stay. If you feel purpose, or if you feel like what you're doing every day that you stay at work is adding value to someone else or is adding value to that company, and that's something that means a lot to you. Number 3, do you have friendship with your coworkers? Work isn't just a place that you go to get your work done. There's definitely a community aspect to it. There's a sense of fellowship. There's a sense of being able to connect with people in a healthy way. If you stop working, what you'll find is there's not that same excuse 5 days a week to see all these people. You may not consistently see them. You probably won't consistently see them like you did while you were at work. So identify, do you enjoy the people that you're working with? Do you have good friendships at your workplace? And if so, ask yourself, are you willing to let that go as you want to pursue other things going into retirement? If the answer is no, that again could be a compelling reason to continue working even if financially you don't need to. And then number 4, it provides a routine. We're creatures of habit. A lot of times if work goes away, work's kind of that cornerstone, that structure in our week. And if that goes away, it feels like the rest of our structure goes away. We don't know what else to do with some of our time. And not to say that there's not things that you can certainly do to fill that, because there absolutely are, but understand that that is one healthy benefit of work in many ways. Assuming you're not working a crazy schedule of working 80 hours a week, or you're not working unhealthy hours. If you're working good hours and hours that work for you, that routine is something that I wouldn't underestimate. When that goes away, some people love when that goes away in retirement, but other people, they struggle when that goes away in retirement. So you know yourself better than I know you. So understand that whether it's something that provides purpose, or provides mentorship opportunities, or provides friendship, or just provides routine, any of these reasons could be a reason to say, you know what, I don't need work, but I've not yet had enough work. There are reasons for me to stay above and beyond just the paycheck that I'm bringing home every couple of weeks. So at the end of the day, if there's a benefit to work, and if that benefit isn't getting in the way of any benefit that you'd be receiving when you're retired in the form of vacations you want to take, or family time or friend time that you want to have, stay. If you're getting a lot out of work above and beyond the paycheck, that's a wonderful place to be, where you're a bad day, you're a bad week, you're a bad month from leaving. But having that freedom, having the opportunity of first saying, question number one, you're in a position to retire financially if you need to, continue working if work provides a benefit. If it doesn't, that's where step 3 comes in the third question, which is what we'll talk about on our next episode. So today's episode, fairly brief, fairly quick, to the point, but this is something that I don't want people to underestimate. Again, I've worked with too many people that financially had all the reason in the world to retire. They retired, but they weren't happy. They lost that sense of purpose. They lost that connection. They lost that whatever it was with work. And so make sure that you do some reflection and make sure that as you're thinking about retiring, this is something you give a good amount of thought to before you ultimately decide to go ahead and do that. So thank you all for listening. We'll see you next week for the third question of the 4-part Countdown to Retirement series.